Good evening, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to a video I didn't think I would ever have to do. Actually, I didn't even think I'd have to do the other video like this. Today, I'm kind of doing a playing the role of a Senate whip, which is basically I'm counting votes. Um, I figured at some point, I think the first time I did this, I was voting, or I was counting up votes for the confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett. This time, though, I'm doing a video. I truthfully, in 2016, I never thought I'd have to do a video on impeachment, just because it's historically been a very rare occurrence. Number one, and number two, I didn't actually see anything. Maybe it was a bit naive to think that somebody who is as inflammatory on Twitter and is unable to filter his thoughts between his mouth as Trump wouldn't say something or do something stupid enough to push Democrats over the edge to file charges of impeachment. Now, of course, the Democrats are impeaching him again in the House, and I think it's a little bit easier to say that he definitely didn't hold the proper course of action. I'd say it's much more difficult, and I'm trying to be as objective as possible, as nonpartisan as possible during this video. It's much harder to make the argument that these shouldn't be pushed forward, if that makes any sense. By the way, if you do like the comment, likes, comments, subscriptions, they really do help, and I greatly appreciate them. And I have some links down in the description, a link to a mock government I'm putting up on Discord, and a link to my Patreon page. Sorry about that. So right now, this is what the map looks like. We don't know enough about quite a lot of these people, but we also know a lot about quite a few of them. And we're going to talk about them. Basically, every Democrat who's in the Senate, except Joe Manchin, of course, is in question. Is not in question. They're going to vote for removal if in the 7 days until inauguration, Trump is actually impeached and they push things forward in the Senate. We're going to see what happens. So let's run down the list from most to least likely. I think Murkowski absolutely would in Alaska. Collins, I'd put in the likely column just because she is in a traditionally blue state of Maine, and she's always been a little bit more willing to break with the party. Another person whom I definitely could see, I'm putting Mitt Romney in that category. I can see the 50 votes right there, by the way. Ben Sass is another person I'd actually put in the likely column, considering Trump has kind of gone after him a decent amount. So while, say, Ben Sass might agree with his policies, definitely is not the type of person to disagree with personality. But anyway, Mitch McConnell has said he's definitely open to it. I'm putting him in the lean category. I think Pat Toomey has also said that he'd potentially do it. Todd Young in Indiana. I'm not gonna. I don't know enough. It really is a toss up with him. Rob Port, and we'll go through a few. I could see Chuck Grassley going against Trump. I really could, but not significantly. Apparently, Rand Paul, who I thought would have been more likely, has said no because he thinks this is pointless, 7 days before the inauguration of a new president. Um, Mike Lee might, but Mike Lee also votes very similarly to Rand Paul. So it's a little bit. Rick Scott, I don't know. Cornyn, can't really tell. Neither of the Louisiana senators. There's a lot of gray for the Republicans. This is Hawley, by the way, from Missouri. Roy Blunt. I'm still unsure about him. Um, a lot of people, especially Tennessee senators, both Republicans in Alabama, Loeffler and Perdue, who are still in, I think, until Inauguration Day. West Virginia is an interesting one. I could actually see Shelley Moore Capito voting to remove, and I could see, and Joe Manchin is interesting. I could see him voting for. I could see him voting against. It just depends on whether or not he. It just depends on Joe Manchin reasons, basically. The rest, it's really weird. I'm actually going to throw Thune into kind of tilt category. Just because Trump has also really not liked Thune recently. But yeah, it's not a good map for Trump, especially when the Senate, I guess the soon-to-be Senate minority leader of your own party is saying, yes, these articles are very legitimate and we will keep our options open. So about 53 to 55 votes, I would say, are confirmable. Depending on how much you want to stretch Grassley and Thune, and how much stock you want to put in the words of Mitch McConnell. But there's only 11 confirmed against, and that is, for Trump, a very bad thing. If I had to make bets as to who would be most likely to break, of the ones we don't know about, it would be, let's just assume that everyone that I've got mentioned so far does indeed vote for. I would say Mike Lee of Utah, both West Virginia senators. I could see Rob Portman doing it, but I could also see him going against even in that scenario. Let's just say no there. Blunt won't. Ernst might, but probably not. Rick Scott is an interesting one because I think maybe he would think it'd be easier to appeal to independents if he supported. Okay. But, I mean, the rest is still very up in the air, and it's very difficult to find the extra, 9 senators that you need. Let's go ahead and throw Todd Young in there. Now you would only need 8 votes. And, again, I'm still, it's going to be very difficult. From Wyoming. We'll go here and say one of the Wyoming senators. Loeffler and Perdue might, just because they're both going out, and they may leave it as a final, middle finger to Trump for losing both of those races for them. Again, now we're looking at 5, and it's still difficult to find those extra 5 votes. Cornyn. But at the same time, we are at this point, grasping for straws. I guess it's, what is it now? Did I add another one? No, okay. Yeah, at this point we are you're kind of grasping for straws. I don't think there's enough to actually get there, but there might be enough to get there. Which is saying something. It really is saying something. Now, of course, the reason why this doesn't... where's the lean? Yeah, Cornyn. There you go. The reason why this isn't at 48 is because Joe Manchin is off the table, because we don't actually know. So, could it happen? Actually, I'd say it's more likely than I would have said immediately afterwards. So, that's probably the most surprising words I've ever said. And 50 years ago, we're going to look at this and see whether or not it actually is possible to remove a sitting president using the impeachment process. Because I would have said the only other time that could have been a realistic possibility was in the aftermath of Watergate. But Nixon resigned well before it got to that stage. And so when the Senate couldn't even convict Bill Clinton, despite how much Republicans really disliked him, I don't even think they got 50 votes. They probably got far fewer than that, if I remember correctly, in the trial in the Senate. Republicans impeached him. To be fair, Bill Clinton definitely committed some improprieties, but what I would call misdemeanors. They weren't high crimes. I'll say, they were kind of high crimes. If there was anything, just look up the whole Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky thing. Those were high crimes. Much worse than misdemeanors. And the fact that he was lying about it and all that, but, what they got him for was perjury, not necessarily the, what I think most people would consider would be sexual assault these days, because he was in a position of power and she wasn't. Therefore, uneven dynamics, and that counts as sexual assault and coercion. Yeah, go figure. The only other time a president has been impeached was Andrew Johnson, of course, Trump at the very end of 2019, very start of 2020. And Andrew Johnson, his trial in the Senate, he escaped being removed from office by literally one vote. But I think the lesson that we took from that was that you have to absolutely be dead certain that that the president has actually committed some horrifying wrong in order to remove them from office. Just like back in the very early years, they tried to impeach a Supreme Court justice. Jefferson did, actually. Jefferson tried to impeach a Supreme Court justice, and get him removed from the court so that he could appoint a justice to the Supreme Court himself that was more sympathetic to his own views. And that judicial impeachment failed after that because basically they should leave the court out of politics and that politics shouldn't enter the court. And the Senate basically refused to remove him from office. I think even the impeachment filing was heavily opposed, even by Jefferson's own party. So yeah, impeachment in America and removal from office is really difficult. It's not like a vote of no confidence in a lot of places, parliamentary governments and stuff like that. You actually have to really prove that the person you're trying to remove from office really did something wrong. So that's kind of where I stand on that. We're going to find out whether or not a president can actually be removed from office through impeachment. And we'll see if the 25th Amendment even gets invoked. But with the amount of cabinet secretaries resigning, that's probably not going to happen. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See y'all next time. Take it easy. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.